Hi, and welcome to this quick explanation on how to do APA reference pages. So the APA reference page is where you're going to put any source that you used for your research, whether it's a paper, a project, anything. If you're following APA format and you need a reference page, this is how you're going to do it. There are a lot of different rules, so I'm going to cover the basics, but I'd also recommend that as you're working through it the first couple times that you have a helpful source near you to help you get the rules right. And at the end of this video, I will link one for you. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that the document is set up correctly. While APA does say that you can use one of a family of fonts, we're going to keep it easy. And in my class, you are only using Times New Roman. You're also going to use 12-point font. And then the last thing to do to make sure the font is correct is to go into Paragraph. If you're in Word, you'll hit this down arrow or right click and click on Paragraph and change it to double. If you're in Word, you will also make sure to check this box that says don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. So 12-point, Times New Roman, double space font. Then to get the page going, at the very top of your page, you're going to put the word reference. If you only have one research piece to share, or if you have multiple sources you've used, you'll put references. You'll notice that I put that in bold, and that is the APA rule. It should be bold to show that it is basically like a section heading. So then we're going to enter one time and go back to the left alignment. For APA, the general format will be the author's name. You'll see I put last, comma, first initial, middle initial. You're going to have the year of publication, so publication. Then you're going to have the title of piece, which for most sources will be only have the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, any word following a colon, or a proper noun capitalized. Then you're going to put the container information, and that's going to vary, based off the source you're using. And so I can't be too specific there. I just want you to see kind of like the general idea of how it's going to flow. So the first example I'm going to give you is if you were doing like a web page. So you were reading something, let's say from the New York Times. Well, that's a periodical, so maybe not them, but like you're reading on a website and you want to use that specific web page. Well, as I said, you're going to put the last name of the author, first initial, middle initial. Then if you have it, you need to have the year. If they have more, you'd go year, month, date. The title of web page. Notice that web page is lowercase. You're going to give me the website name, and then you're going to give me a URL. So I'm just going to make up an example real fast. So we could have web, SP. She published it on in the year 2022 on July 5th. Her web page was titled Surviving the Collaborative Classroom. Okay. It is in italics because that's just the APA rule for this one. We just have to accept that a web page is going to go in italics. However, I only capitalize the first word of the title because the rest of them are not proper nouns, they're not a subtitle, and they don't follow a colon. The website this was published on was News Now. And then I need my URL. So www, thisisfake.com. Okay, you will notice it hyperlinked. I need to go back and undo that. So if you hover over it, it will pop up like this, and you can hit undo hyperlink. You can also right click and put remove hyperlink. Okay, so that's the first way we're going to do that. Let's just pretend I'm going to copy and paste to show you something very quickly. Let's pretend she did have a subtitle, so it's Surviving the Collaborative Classroom. I'm going to put a colon. Tips for online students. So there you can see that I capitalized the word tips because A is the subtitle and B it follows a colon. Okay. So if I was doing now to say an online scholarly article, that is going to be similar, but there's more information to include, so I have to update it a little bit more. So again, last name, first and middle initials, the year it was published, the title of article, title of scholarly journal. I have the volume number, the volume number, then I have the issue number, and then the page numbers. I'm going to end with something called a DOI. So before I explain that, I'm going to walk you through. You can see last, first, middle, the year is published, the title of article following the same capitalization rules as here. It's just not in italics. But every scholarly journal gets italics, and it has what I would consider normal capitalization rules. Then in italics, you'll put the volume number. No italics, you'll put the issue number. You'll put page numbers, and then you'll put a DOI. A DOI is very similar to a URL. However, it never changes. And so that's why we want the DOI, because it will be a permanent link, whereas a URL can change. So for example, maybe I have this one that I just pulled. So as you can see, as I'm typing the title out, the only word here that is capitalized is development. None of these are proper nouns. They're not specific names. They're not subtitles. They don't follow colon. Okay. Now I'm onto my scholarly journal. So that does get the capitalization. It also gets the italics. I need my volume number. There we go. In my italics, here's my issue number. And then my page numbers. And now I need to copy in my DOL. Okay. Oops, sorry, when I copied it, I copied some extra with that. I apologize. Okay, period, move on. Again, I need to go back and remove any hyperlink I see. So, scholarly journals, you go author, year, article, journal. The volume, issue number, the page numbers, and then the DOI. There are some special rules that I do want to go over with you, but I'm going to do that at the end. I just want you to kind of see how this works. These are probably the most common two you'll use for me in this class, so I'm just going to start with there, but at the end you'll get a link from me that also shows you other ones you can do. The last thing we need to do is select all my references, go back into paragraph, and I need to move the indentation to under special. I need to change it to hanging. It automatically will say 0.5. That is correct. So again, I'm just going to go special, hanging indent. And when I hit OK, you'll notice that anything that is two or more lines, those second lines automatically get indented by 0.5 inches. And that's because it just makes it a little bit easier on the eyes. And we can more easily move between sources when I'm not trying to figure out, is this a new source? Is this a new source? I can just kind of visibly see like, okay, all this information falls under something else. Okay? So, special rules to consider. I've shown you how to do if there's one author, but if there are two, you would do last, first, middle. You have to use the ampersand, so that's the little and symbol, and then last, comma, first, middle, just like that. If you have up to 20 authors, you're going to list them all. Okay, so that means you'd have, I'm only going to do like 3 just to show you, but you're going to go last, first, middle, last, first, middle, and last, first, middle. Hopefully you don't find one that has that many authors, because that's just a lot to go through, right? So if you have 2 authors, just these. If you have up to 20 authors, you're going to list them all. Okay? The things that get italicized are going to be book titles, whether that's a novel, an anthology, a collection of essays, book titles. Scholarly journal titles, web pages as we saw above, or any other quote-unquote long works. okay? So that would be like a CD, name of a CD, name of a movie, those types of things. Otherwise, the titles just get left alone on the reference page. No quotation marks, none of that. You just leave it exactly like this. So this is the basics of getting your reference page set up. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, you guys are going to get in some practice using some information I provide you.